Hey YouTube, your girl is back with another video, and in today's recipe we are making a banana pudding cake. You guys have been showing so much love for my cake videos. My banana pudding cupcake videos has been getting a lot of love also, and a lot of you guys wanted to know if we can make the banana pudding cupcakes into a cake, and the answer is yes. So here I have fluffy banana cream cake. I have some banana pudding filling with some banana cream whipped toppings, crushed vanilla wafers, garnished with whole vanilla wafers. Y'all, I took it there. Let's get into the recipe. So I started with Betty Crocker vanilla cake mix. I am going to double this recipe because of the size cake pans that I'm using. So I go ahead and add both cake mixes into a bowl. And then I have my banana cream pudding mix that I'm going to add to that also. So you're going to need 1/4 a cup all-purpose flour. And then because I doubled it, I just did that twice. And then I'm going to go ahead and give all my dry ingredients a nice mix around and make sure that they are well incorporated. Once my dry ingredients are incorporated, I'm going to go ahead and add all 6 of my eggs. Remember guys, I am doubling this recipe. If you're going to use 6-inch cake pans, do not double the recipe. If you're going to use 8-inch cake pans, please do so. So I added my oil. I'm going to add in my water, and then I'm going to use my hand mixer to go ahead and get all of these ingredients well incorporated. While mixing, please don't forget to work down the ingredients that are kind of stubborn on the sides. And then as you can see, this mixed up very beautifully. So because we added that pudding in our cake mix, look how thick and fluffy it is. So you know our cake is going to be nice and fluffy and real moist. If you have never added pudding mix into your cake mix, where have you been? Literally living under a rock. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to bake this. So today's nonstick spray is going to be Baker's Joy. This was actually the cheaper one than the baking Pam spray. So yeah, we're using Baker's Joy today. And then I have again 8-inch cake pans. If you are going to use 6-inch cake pans, you do not need to double this recipe. Just use it as listed in the description box below. So you're going to go ahead and spray all of your pans just to ensure that your cake does not stick to the sides or the bottom of your pan. You want it to come out flawlessly. And then you're going to distribute the cake batter equally into each baking pan. Now guys, again, this does not have to be perfect. Go ahead and feel free to eyeball it and make sure that it is equal to the best of your ability. So once I've got all my cake batter inside of my cake pans, you're going to go ahead and give it a little tap, little shake. I'm going to go ahead and shake the room and make sure we get all of those air bubbles out so we don't have air bubbles inside of our cake. And then we are going to bake these at 350 degrees for 30 to 35 minutes or until a toothpick comes out clean. So while our cake is baking, we're going to go ahead and get started on our filling. So here I have another box of banana cream pudding, and we're going to go ahead and add that to our bowl. And then we are going to go ahead and add 2 cups of cold milk. Now you can use a hand mixer for this stage. I think it is quite messy using a hand mixer for this, so I just go ahead and use a whisk. And after a minute or 2 of beating, you will notice that your pudding mix will become very thick, just like so. And then once it reaches this consistency, it is ready. And this is the consistency that we're looking for. So I'm going to take my extra creamy Cool Whip, and then I'm going to add that to our banana cream pudding mix. And then we're going to get that well incorporated. I started to fold but you want to kind of stir it in just to make sure that it's a smooth consistency. You don't want to have big lumps of just, Cool Whip by itself. You want everything to be well incorporated. So don't be afraid to give this a nice, good stir. Voila. Our pudding filling is done. So I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator until our cake is ready to assemble. So it's been 35 minutes and I got our cakes out of the oven. As you can see, they are a nice golden brown. So we're just going to leave these off into the side and let these cool down completely. I suggest putting it into the freezer to kind of speed up the process if you don't have the time. So while our cakes are cooling, I took my stand mixer, I took the bowl and I put it in the freezer. And this is very important because we're making our whipped topping. So I have here heavy whipping cream, a whole quart of heavy whipping cream. And then we're going to add this to our chilled mixing bowl. And what this will do is keep it nice and cold so that it firms up correctly. Guys, I promise, the last box of banana cream pudding mix, we're going to go ahead and add that to our heavy whipping cream. So I am using the whisk attachment for our KitchenAid. If you don't have one, feel free to use your hand mixer. So you want to start off just getting the pudding incorporated, but your whipped cream will not peak up the way you need it to if you don't have it sped up. So here's a little trick that I suggest. So you're going to take a kitchen towel or whatever type of towel that you have, and you're going to cover your bowl with the towel, and you're going to turn your mixer on the highest speed that it can go. And this just ensures that you don't have a mess all over your kitchen. And after 1 to 2 minutes, voila, we have banana cream, whipped cream. And this is peaked perfectly and it's nice and smooth. So I'm going to go let this beat for another 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And then we are going to stop it because we don't want to overbeat it and we don't want it too firm. This gave me such satisfaction just watching. Yes. Voila. So as you can see, our whipped topping was basically, guys, it's whipped cream. We just made our own banana cream whipped cream. Is done. So you want to, a lot gets stuck in that whisk attachment. As you can see, it's nice and firm. So you want to work all of that down because no product left behind. And look how smooth. If you want to frost your cakes with this, feel free. But this has to be refrigerated. If this is for a gathering, I prefer you use the buttercream like we are today. So we're just going to use this whipped topping to garnish the cake. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the refrigerator until we are ready to assemble. So now it's time for our buttercream. So we are going to add all 4 sticks of unsalted butter into our stand mixer using the paddle attachment. And then we're going to beat the butter until it's nice and silky. So it's been about 4 to 5 minutes and our butter is nice and silky. So we're going to go ahead and add half of our sugar into the stand mixer. Don't worry, you guys, all ingredients and measurements will be listed in the description box below. So you want to start the mixer off slow before you bring it back up to speed, just so you won't have a big poof cloud everywhere. So we're going to go ahead and get that well incorporated. We're going to scrape down the sides of our bowl. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the remainder of our confectioner sugar. Notice I don't sift anything, straight out of the bag into the mixer, and it's fine. So here is when your icing will get a little thick. I put just a splash of milk in at a time. You don't want to pour in too much milk. So I ended up using about 1.5 tablespoons of milk in total, and that gave my icing the perfect consistency to frost our cakes. So that is just how simple American buttercream is. It's the perfect consistency, just enough to give us a nice smooth finish. So let's assemble our cake. So here I have a cake board, and we're going to go ahead and spread some of that buttercream to the cake board, and this just will ensure that our cake does not slide once we start assembling it. So I have my first layer that I have leveled, and as you can see, I was a little too rough handling the cakes, but no worries, nothing that we cannot disguise. So I'm gonna pipe around a border, and then I'm gonna go on the outside rim just to ensure that that border is secure, and then we're gonna add our filling to the middle. So why we add the borders? Because we don't want our filling to seep out, because it could compromise the structure of our cake. So I'm going to go ahead and level off the filling. And then we're going to go back and add our next cake layer. And then we're going to repeat the same process. Now, see, I told you guys I was being a little too rough, but no worries. These things can be fixed. So I'm going to take some of my buttercream, and then we're just going to use it as a glue. And then I'm going to kind of like gently press the cake back into place. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue on building that border just to ensure that our filling does not seep out of the sides. And don't worry, guys, that little piece will not be recognizable once we finish our cake at all. So once we cover it in buttercream, it's going to be fine. Adding our filling, leveling, and then we're going to add our final cake layer. So I want to ensure that none of the filling gets out. So I'm just going to go in any empty spaces and fill it in with buttercream before we start our crumb coat. So in both layers, we're going to add buttercream just to ensure that we don't have any mishaps. So of course, I am going to crumb coat, this cake. If you're not familiar with the term crumb coat, all it is a very thin layer of buttercream to ensure that the crumbs are locked in so they won't be present in your final presentation of the cake. As you can see, crumbs are everywhere right now. So that is what this step is for, is to lock in those little stubborn crumbs because we don't want them on our final presentation. That's not cute, okay? So go ahead and apply a very thin but generous layer of buttercream. And then you want to level the top of your cake and make sure that, it's standing up straight and everything is flush at the top. A crumb coat does not have to be perfect, especially if you're a beginner. Please do not overthink this process. So I'm going to take my bench scraper and I'm just going to take off any excess icing. Again, guys, your crumb coat does not have to be perfect. We will go back in with another layer of buttercream. So this is just to lock in those stubborn crumbs so that our final presentation is bomb. So I'm finishing up my crumb coat. I'm just bringing in those edges. Again, making sure that the top of my cake is leveled and flush. If it's not leveled, you can add a little bit more and then go around the sides. And this is going to give us our sharp edges later on down the road. So I'm done with my crumb coat. I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator for 30 minutes to an hour. Voila. And then it is time for our final coat of buttercream. So I did add just a drop of yellow food coloring because I really wanted this cake to scream banana pudding. And pudding always has like a light yellow tint to it. So I thought it'd be cute to add a drop of yellow food coloring. You do not have to if you do not want to. So I started out with my final layer of icing, and notice that I worked my way from the bottom to the top. So you want to be generous with the amount of icing that you add. And then I'm just going to slowly work my way up towards the top of the cake. And then once I get to the top, we are going to again level off the top of the cake to ensure that it's flush and that it is leveled. So just go ahead and turn your turntable and use your offset spatula to achieve a leveled top. And then I'm just going to go around the cake and fill in any gaps that may cause unevenness in our buttercream. So again, you just take your bench scraper and then slowly but surely smooth out the sides of the cake. If you are a beginner, please do not stress it. It is not going to be perfect. And then we are also going to be adding crushed vanilla wafers to the side of this cake. So it literally does not have to be perfect. This is the OCD in me that really just, I could not let that slide. So I had to go in, fill in, and scrape around. But don't worry yourself. We're going to be covering this up anyway, so it does not have to be picture perfect. So I'm just going to bring in the tops. So here I have a bag of vanilla wafers that I crushed already. You don't want to make them crumbs, which is why I didn't put it in the blender. But you also want them to be kind of small pieces. So you're going to press them, a handful at a time up into the cake, and then work your way around, and then eventually work your way to the top. So I did find it helpful to kind of drag the excess crumbs to the sides that were not already crumbed, if that's the thing. And it just helped me, kind of not have too much cleanup. So yeah, I worked my way up just a handful at a time, gently pressing until you don't want to become the Incredible Hulk trying to press into this cake. Gently press the crumbs into the sides of the cake, work your way around, and then eventually I got to the top. And then again, I used the excess crumbs that I had on the cake board. And then you want to kind of spread out. Once you get to the top, start to the middle and then spread the crumbs kind of outward and then fill in where you can. So once I was done with that, I just took a dry brush to clean off my cake board. Guys, I do have to say on the bottom, I have parchment paper that will make for an easier cleanup. Once I was done with this step, all I had to do was move my cake rotator, and then I just trashed the parchment paper. So please put something down so that you have an easy cleanup and you don't have crumbs all over your counter. Time for my favorite part. So I have our whipped topping in a piping bag and a 1M Wilton tip, and we're just going to go ahead and pipe a cute little border around the bottom. And once you're done with the bottom, we're going to make our little mountains. Y'all know these little swirlies, they like my little signature. Every time I do a cake, I got little swirlies at the top. So I'm just going to go around and around. And then these will be the foundations to our vanilla wafer. The way we garnish, it's going to sit on top of these little mountains. So I'm extra, very extra. So I went around the whole cake making these little swirlies, but they weren't high enough, so I actually went back and added more. You can never have enough swirlies, okay? And it just makes a really, really, really nice presentation. Whether the cake is for a client or for your household, you want a nice looking cake. So we're going to go ahead and sit the vanilla wafers right on top of our mountains. And then, as I told you guys, our whipped cream that we make, that is what, we're designing with. And look how good it holds. It really, really holds up well. It's not folding. It's not melting. I literally been working with it in a piping bag with my body heat, and it is fine. And it's going to hold our vanilla wafers beautifully. Voila. That is our banana pudding cake. You guys literally love the cupcakes, and you guys are going to fall deeper in love with this cake. It was amazing. My goodness, by far one of the best tasting cakes I have had in a long time. I love banana pudding, so to have this in cake form is just amazing. Guys, this could be for clients, this can be for any type of event, baby showers, birthdays, dinner parties, you name it. This cake will be the perfect addition to any type of function. as you can see, the recipe was super, super simple. The whipped topping held up beautifully. I want to thank you guys for tuning into another recipe. Please, if you use this recipe, leave down in the comment section below how this turned out for you. Again, don't stress yourself about it looking perfect. It's going to taste good, and that's what's most important. So watch as I cut into this beautiful cake, and we're going to see what those cake guts are looking like. As I mentioned, the cake is so moist and fluffy on the inside, and then everything banana cream just complemented this cake so well. So thank you guys for tuning into another recipe. I can't wait to give you guys more content, and the ebook is on the way. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.